but I guess his teammate just came back after.
Why does it always look so easy when Shark does it, though, man? He's just smooth. His mechanical capabilities are just obscene at his age, but Teeny masterminding another Game 7 performance here. Shark Teeny gonna take a moment. This Volko cringe. Now realizing they've got to go on the aggressive here up against Prax. They know that this is a player that's been consistently having to play for the reboots, and everybody wants to punish for elimination points on the duos that don't really have a leg to stand on.
If Prax goes down here, though, Glubshy just got eliminated. Prax has to do what he can to stay up as long as possible, so his teammate reloads back in. And it looks like he's done it. With the knock, he gets eliminated. Glubshy in the sky now cannot get taken out. This is one of the teams that are quite close to qualifying range, with now Darm and Deemish being eliminated in a 5th place, 220 points. It opens up that qualifying range for the players right below, and Glubshy Prax are one of them, alongside Malabuka Vico being the team literally right under Deemish and Darm, 10 points behind them. Now with already an Elim on the board, they're getting closer and closer to taking that land spot.
And the worst part about it still for Darm and Deemish, where you've really got to feel that gut-sinking feeling. Malabuka, Vico, they are timing it between Prax and Glubshy, waiting for the other to begin their reboot. Vico immediately starting to go for the hunt, but he's done toying with this food. Another duo wiped out here. Glubshy and Prax won't have an opportunity to try and extend any more placement or even elimination points. That's just going to be 3 quick elims. Malabuka and Vico. But Akira is trying to take matters into his own hands now. Ruin and Kashi, don't know if they're fully aware of the fact they're a little bit too preoccupied with making sure that they don't get collapsed on by Shark and Teeny. This lurk play by Akira, the moment they break through this wall, if they see him, oh, sure enough, it's been spoiled. Akira didn't want to take the risk of being 2 players versus 1.
Yeah, potential to get boxed up there. Made the noise when he dropped down. No longer pursuing. Volko cringe. Nothing too close to them. They're going to make their way more center zone. Gonna go towards the loot drops. Get a sneak peek at the next zone.
And every little bit counts here, especially for a team like Volka and Cringe. They've already watched other duos on the leaderboard send themselves forward off of a big pom-pom performance, hoping that they could try and more or less do the same with these last couple of remaining lobbies. But Teeny and Shark still hanging out at Dirty Docks. Not too many teams feeling bold enough to really want to try and challenge them for that. If anything, it's always just moments of desperation why we see players in their space trying to escape from other teams that are just chasing them down for reboot points. But Fired and Kashi, if they're not, if they overextend just a little bit, that'll be all the space that a team like Shark and Teeny needs to look for more eliminations.
Flixie goes down on the feed. Chino Pablo continuing the safe route. Kind of see a bit of the top 4. The top 4 is a lot more separated than 8th through 5th. It's incredibly close. Even 9th through 10th through 5th, honestly. The whole mid-section of the leaderboard right outside of the land qual is incredibly close. It's like 20 points that separates them, 25. So after this match, there are going to be some big changes to the leaderboard.
For sure, and I think a bigger switch up too is that for some of these duos where they've been sending out, you know, just one member to go hunt down extra eliminations, play a little bit of spoiler, interrupt some loot paths early on. Well, if you keep doing that, other teams are going to eventually notice, hey, that means that one of you is a solo at your original drop spot. And I think for, you know, take example, Darm and Deemish. That's what got them cleaned up so early on. And it's just something where you now have to kind of reevaluate, is this the same method that we want to employ with our final game of the day? Because that could be the end of the road for the Reload Elite Series Finals Qual 2 here. And those land spots, I mean, everybody wants to find their spot performing at LAN, but only 3 teams can make it, Takata.
That's true. We do have 4 finals total. This is the second one, so there'll be more opportunities, but the sooner the better. If you're players like Sharktini, even Pablo and Chino, they already, you know, qualified, so they can play a lot more freely in these matches. And as finals goes on, there's going to be more duos in that same situation, which makes it that much scarier for the other teams trying to get that qual spot. Truly, Zynox, 191 points. They were 8th place going into this match, just 3 off being in qualifying range, about 30 points behind them. Now with Demon Storm gone, this could be a massive match for them.
And that's exactly the opportunity they've kind of just been waiting to strike for. Not calling it hesitancy, but that little bit of passiveness. They're just waiting to ensure that they have the best possible setup for a deep endgame run here. Flixie, Chap, they are really going to have to go all out, not even just in this lobby, Takata, but also in Game 8 if they want any sort of opportunity. But if there is a duo with the fighting power behind them to do so, it's definitely Chap and Flixie.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough though. They are on that bottom half of the leaderboard, and to be honest, they're gonna have to win this game. Good news is, like you said, anyone's gonna do it. They got 5 eliminations already. Hopefully they can have a big end game, kind of get their hopes up a little bit, or increased. Sharktini playing it slow once again at the boom and base now. They've pulled zone. They're just gonna stay here for as long as they can.
It's just like the main memo for Chap and Flixie, though, is just make it to the end game. The one time that we've really seen them have an end game run, I mean, they won the lobby. So it's just about getting to that stage. They've had a lot of issues with how some of the mid game has ended up for them, but anything goes. And it seems like they've definitely got a fire lit underneath them right now with those 5 early eliminations. Pretty solid loadouts here too. Good mobility, slurp juice. So they have the items that they need if they want to try and make a strong performance here. But there are so many other powerful contenders that they're going to have to deal with too. Just saw Yevko Panzer, Chino Pablo. Granted, it's probably in their favor for Chino, Pablo, Sharktini to remain inside that top 3 of the leaderboard, because it does just cause that overall extension for everyone else, since they are teams that are already confirmed for that LAN finals.
Zone, luckily enough, this time around isn't pulling towards the water, so hopefully we don't see a rough end game like we did previously. Biko Malabuka had it in a little late, but didn't get focused. Let's hope they don't go down early in the end game like the last match. They need a big game here to solidify themselves on that top half of the leaderboard.
Once Vico gets moving, though, I mean, what more is there that needs to be said? Even just look at their Div Finals performances. 2 weeks back-to-back of them repeating. Chap, though, this is bad news bears all around. Shots coming in from 3 different directions. All that material account that they spent time building up, it's all for naught, as Chap will be knocked. Devastating scenes here right now for Flixie. And he's not going to have the opportunity to try and play for the revive. Even with it being so much faster in reloads, it's just not a chance. Body also being brought back into Truly in Zynox's box. That's their space, that's their loot now. But Flixie as a solo, he's going to have to get it all done and then some. Meanwhile, Vico, Malabuka, they just continue trying to creep forward. It's not even about playing catch-up here, Takata. It's about just taking a lead firmly in their hands. They don't want it to come close. They want to be completely cemented inside of the qual position for LAN.
And they've got everything lined up to do so in this match. All they need to do is close it out. The Strokey Bevies opting to quickly get ahead of zone here. Will they build up, though, or just play a safer route? They are right behind that cutoff of qualifying, so they cannot afford to go down early here.
And that's where it becomes very difficult, I think, on the mental side of things for players, for these teams. You know, you don't want to overthink it, but at the same time, you don't want to overcommit. But if you hesitate just one moment too long, you've got to have some confidence in your plays. After all, if you want them to be successful. Shark, Teeny, just a team that exudes confidence at every single opportunity, though. Pixie, Swizzy now applying a lot of good pressure onto Hallie and Lusha. Don't really know if they're fully aware of just how low Hallie even was in that instance, but they'll forfeit for the time being. Content to just have their own space claimed. Truly, Zynox starting to take a peek towards the high ground. It has been a strategy for them to look at height, but holding on to it is a whole different affair in a lobby like this.
Khan doing what he can to play it out as a solo. 220 points. They were the duo that was tied with Demish and Darm. Khan has a lot of weight on his shoulders here to get a big game. Vico, Malabuka, though, both players looking healthy. Could have more mats, but all it takes is a quick refresh. Volko cringe. They've been spotted trying to get that free rotate, but Pixie, Swizzy, they're clearly aware of this. We mentioned it before, Pixie, Swizzy, they were in the bottom half of the leaderboard, 18th place, I believe. But that victory royale brought them up to top 11, and if they're able to get a back-to-back, it's going to be exactly what they needed for the comeback.
That was big looks, though, for Vico and Malabuka. They were able to find an elimination, which means a little bit of Cypher materials to work with, too. But now Swizzy, Pixie from overhead. Yapko in a very preposterous position right now. He's a solo, and he's got to keep trying to work his way through. These are his builds for right now, but there are just so many teams lurking nearby. Khan, very similar position, except even less health to work with. He'll be forced to play these medkits a little bit earlier than he's been hoping for. Does have shield potions he could possibly utilize too, but Yapko just trying to break through. Zone closing in. Backside can only protect you for so long. Eventually, you're gonna have to clash head on, and Yapko delivers, finds an elimination here. Needed that so badly. Gonna buy him just a little bit more back now, a little bit more materials, a little bit more space to breathe.
So many solos playing right now. Malabuka, Yapko, Khan, all playing alone. Meanwhile, Pixie and Swizzy continue to hold on to height, but Yapko's gonna do what he can to stay ahead. Issue is running low on mats. All he's got is wood. Khan with a quick elimination, but he needs to pick up the full elim, unable to do so. Yapko now continuing his wrath as a solo.
Just watching the body roll down the hill, knowing that that siphon could have been enough to just get him one place further. But Chino, Pablo, they've got no time to waste. They're gonna look to just overtake this frontside low position, and Yapko, 4 builds remain. Can he find another shot? He's got the purple sentinel. He just needs to connect it. A little bit of Flowberry Fizz, trying to gauge whether or not it's going to be Malabuka that might be landing right on top of his noggin, but Yapko will fall. No more points can be secured now for that duo, and Swizzy Pixie all along inside the clouds here, just looking down at the rest of the lobby, and Shark, Teeny, familiar scenes here now as they look for an elimination onto Gino, but they're not going to be able to find it just yet. Pablo can't go for the revive. He's just doing everything in his power to even try and stay alive for right now. Slurp does come out, but it's not going to be enough. He will eventually be claimed here, and Akira just powering through.
Shartini, though, they said, we can do height, we can do low, it doesn't matter, we can do it all, as they continue to push down through the dirt. Akira on the other side. Will they knock on his door, though, as Swizzy Pixie continue to hold height, looking to get the back-to-back, as Shark now big pump onto Howley, big pump onto Akira. He gets 2 now, a 2 versus 2, height versus low. Swizzy Pixie, they need this win from the bottom half of the leaderboard, climbed up to the middle section, and now if they get this victory royale, it's putting them closer and closer to qualifying range. But Shark and Teeny, they're not gonna leave it easy for them.
But it's been flip-sided. Swizzy gonna be sent packing. The shockwaves just throwing him way too deep in the storm, but it doesn't even matter. Swizzy will connect. Shark and Teeny. We thought for a moment that we were gonna see the upset, but Swizzy and Pixie, when they needed it most, yet again, they find their victory royale. Frankie, let's see what you gotta say.
We were discussing how much Pixie and Swizzy needed to have a fantastic game after their last victory royale, and they've gone and done the back-to-back. They were 50 points behind contention for a LAN spot, but now they're going to be feeling very satisfied indeed, Coach Harry.
Yeah, I mean, I said it might have been too little too late. They've shut me up. They know exactly what to do, right? They found the formula, you know. It doesn't matter whether it's this late into the tournament. Take high early, and they're holding it so much better than they did in heats. Even if they get chopped out, or even if a team tries to come up for it, they're still managing to stay on top. And I mean, I thought more teams would go for it, but they're able to just hold on, and then when it gets to the final moments, the composure that even when they got shockwaved on by Teeny and Shark, they just miss and storm, re-shockwave themselves, and clutch out the win.
Yeah, I mean, what a game for these guys. It's funny because before their first win, you did make a joke, right, when we were in the green room. You were like, yeah, I mean, if they just win like back-to-back games, and yeah, they're probably in a chance to call, right? And I sort of laughed at you going, yeah, I don't know about that, man. Like back-to-back games, I don't think that can happen. But they've already done 2 out of 3. So it's not out of the realms of possibility. Again, we talked about the talent these two have. They've finally started to figure things out. And I think if you've been watching competitive EU recently, there's been examples of teams having these late resurgences, right? Vico and Malabuka just yesterday in the Div Cup final did similar. So it's good to see these guys picking things up now.
We'll be talking about the leaderboard after this break, so don't go anywhere because change is afoot.
2 teammates have his back. There's Ash, gets the drop on a Marion, stays alive. They're targeting out Vanya. 3v1.
Welcome back to the Reload Elite Series. There's just 1 game remaining before we find out the next 3 duos who'll be heading to the LAN Championships in August. And there is everything to play for right now. Let's take a look at the leaderboard. Swizzy and Pixie did get back-to-back victory royales. You can see that that has taken them into 4th position, up a whopping 7 places. They're currently needing to pull everything together and keep it clenched to get themselves another big finish. But we should take a look at number 6. Howley and Lucia have been particularly threatening in the last few games, 11-2K, and they are the biggest threat to Vico, Malabuka, and Swizzy and Pixie's chances right now.
Yeah, I mean, these guys just on the outside. And I mean, it has been quite the resurgence for them, Harry, right? They started off the day incredibly slow. The last 3 games, 1 win, 3rd place, 4th place. They've changed the approach. We've known these guys to be a height team. They've been able to dominate playing on mid and low. I'm really, crossing my fingers hoping they could do it, because I feel like this would be a great surprise team to come through and make it.
Yeah, you just didn't expect it. Like the same way we were talking about Fade and Khan, another team who is right on the cusp of qualifying to the LAN, and they're another team who no one really expected. And you can just see how close it is from 10th upwards. Only 45 points towards the qualification, and you might think, oh, that's quite a lot. Swizzy and Pixie were 50 points off going into that game, right? So one big game, if you're in the top 10, can be the difference between qualifying to the LAN and missing out.
Coach Harry, if you could be talking to Vico and Malabuka right now, what would you be saying to them? Because we saw Mali challenging for height as a solo in that last game, and that doesn't feel like a risk he should be making in this next game.
My advice would be get away from Chap and Flixie. They're a team who need to catch up, and if you know Chap and Flixie, if they need to catch up, they're not just going to try and win the game. They're going to try and drop 20 elims. They're trying to get as much as possible from this game. They're not going to go down without a fight. So if I was then, run away as fast as you can and just try and get yourself into the end game where you can show what you're made of, to be honest.
Look, when it comes to final games in EU of late, there's been no team better than Vico Malabuka. They've stepped up every single time, no matter how rough the start to the tournament's been. There is no bigger time than now. The whole world is watching Vico Malabuka. What will you do?
Well, let's find out. It's game number 8.
Thank you for setting the stage. They are the literal cutoff at 249 points, Vico Malabuka, but also, we already said it, shout out to Swizzy Pixie. They were literally the bottom of the leaderboard, 18th place. They jump up to 11th with a victory royale, and now they jump up to 4th with a back-to-back win. Can they close this one out? All is up to this last game.
Yeah, Swizzy, Pixie, they caught a vision or a vibe from what Vico and Malabuka have been doing these Div Cup finals. Takata, just the final hour ringers, but the job is not done. There's still so much work that needs to take place here, because as Harry highlighted, top 10 closer than ever before. So game 8, let's see who's got it.
Some of the names right outside the cutoff: Howley, Lucia, Khan, Faded, Deemish, Darm, Fastroki, Bevies, Akira Kararma. These are all names that have a shot of taking that qual spot to the $2.5 million championship LAN, but kicking it off with straight action. Fastroki goes down, Truly picks up 1. As the pressure is on.
Potentially ended for some of these duos, depending on how they fare. No one completely eliminated just yet, but the first strikes reigning in Truly's favor. That's always got to be a great sensation, but there is still so much left to unfold here. Stilt Town. This might be the calmest we've ever seen it, Takata.
Yeah, 100%. Pixie, Swizzy, if anything, are on fire right now. They're ready for the contestation. They've had it all day at Stilt Town. It's been a party, but they are the ones hosting it, as now the pressure, lays a bit low, despite there being another duo close by. I'm curious to see how aggressive they're going to play this one out.
You could see Malabuka was by himself, so you know that Vico is just being an agent of destruction somewhere across the map. Whether or not he's successful in his adventures for finding those additional elimination points, only time will tell, but as of right now, Human Base is all Khan and Faded Pigeon. How many people would have had this duo as a potential for one of those land spot quals? I mean, It just seems like there are so many teams within striking range, and every single one of them being so aware of it. Glubshy, Frags, but it's gonna be Pixie and Swizzy that take down Malabuka. We'll have to wait. One duo has been confirmed removed from this lobby, Takata. And whether or not Swizzy's gonna be able to stay alive, only Pixie will be able to have the solution for that, but lurking nearby, saw Bevies, and Glubshy, don't know if he's aware of the fact he might even potentially get pinched here. Pixie's just trying to buy a little bit of time, just wants to let Swizzy touch down. A whole lot of resources having already been claimed, though, at Stilt Town, and fortunately for Swizzy, Pixie was able to just defend the space long enough. Glubshy Prax not really comfortable with trying to go for an all-out brawl there.
Yeah, it'd be devastating to go down off spawn after getting back-to-back wins, but Glubshy hit a nice shot onto Swizzy. Pixie was low too. That got a little too close for comfort as we switch on over to the north side by Steamy Stacks. Pablo getting rebooted back in. Chap Flixie, 3 elims on the board, looking to at least get a bit of that prize pool.
The analyst could not have said it better, though. We see 3 eliminations already for Chap and Flixie. If anyone is ever going to just throw it or lay it all on the line, it will be that duo. They need a huge performance here. Teeny, Shark, they're just going to be crashing down on Kashi and Firen instead, looking to wipe out this duo entirely. All Teeny has to do is connect one more shot. He's got Shark as well, just to provide a little bit more of that aggressive maneuvering, but Kashi just sliding every which way. He's held on long enough. Crash Pad gonna send him right back to where he doesn't want to be, though. The most unfortunate sequence of events here, but at least he stayed alive long enough for Firen to come back down from the reboot.
It looked like a training range. Like you knew he was about to bounce up in the sky. Shark Teeny were just waiting for it to happen so they could laser him. But hey, like you said, it was enough time for his teammate to get back in it. So pretty good so far. Deemish, though, goes down. Good news is Darm's still up. So potential reload coming into play as Chap and Flixie continue to push everybody in sight.
This is the worst duo you could encounter right now because Chap and Flixie, they know that the only option they have is to just rack up as many eliminations as possible with a strong placement finish. And that initial elim onto Deemish, sending him into the reboot cycle when every single team is just so desperate for whatever points they can muster up. It is so ridiculous now for Darm and Deemish because it was right there. Their chances of being at the land, Takata, almost slipping through their fingers right now. It's Glubshy, another elimination. Everybody kind of just hunting each other.
Yeah, this is going to be a true final match of the finals. It's what you love to see when it's this close. Teeny Shark so far, though, have solidified a good spot in first. However, they are just about 20 points behind Yapko and Panzer, so any of these eliminations are going to help them get that $10,000 difference between first and second. And Kurama Akira being potentially on the receiving end is not where you want to be, as both players now eliminated. They are now knocked out of these finals.
A bit dastardly there from Shark and Teeny, but they were not going to give any kind of room there for Akira and Kurama. Wiping out your competition, wiping out strong teams that could potentially threaten your LAN performance. That seems to be a big emphasis there for Shark and Teeny. Is Yapko, Panzer, getting a little bit fraggy here at Steamy Stacks. They found Josh and Wavy. They've already got 3 eliminations too, and it's going to be Zynox who falls as well. Truly still a little bit off in the distance here. 2 different solos from 2 different representative teams, and Yapko, Panzer in a very commanding spot right now, but it's cringe, and Volko looking to strike back against Gino. Pablo missing in action. Gino will be forced to bring things to a little bit of a halt here, but it's the same case scenario for Cringe. He still needs Volko to touch back down from the reboot.
Got a bit of loot though from his fallen teammate, and now spent enough time to have his teammate reload back in. Going against Chino and Pablo, though, it's tough. They haven't played too aggressive in the early game throughout the day, but now they're hungry. As currently they're sitting in that third place spot comfortably. They don't want to lose it early on, so we can see how Chino is actually able to pick up Volko.
Pretty even battle between some of these duos. They're just looking to go toe-to-toe with each other. Really excited to see what Chap and Flixie have been up to later on down the line, though, because they were just getting so aggressive so early on here at Takata. That all-or-nothing mentality, feast or famine, is just so dangerous to run into. And Bevies for Strokey, not sure if they realize that Shark and Teeny are actually as close by as they appear, but they just wanted that slurp truck after all. And Panzer, Yapko, truly sitting idly by, waiting for his duo. This is, I think, one of our greener duos for this level of lobby, Takata. And if they could find a way to really just go sicko mode in this last lobby and lock in for a big performance, because they are right there, Takata. It is truly very much within the realm of possibility for that duo to actually confirm a spot to land.
Yeah, it was looking so strong for them too. They got top 10, I believe, 4 games in a row until the last one where they got 15. But hopefully they can make something happen this time around. Yapko Panzer on the other end, second place, but it is $10,000 more to get first place. So not only are they trying to hold on to their qual spot, but quite comfortably doing so, they more want that first place finish. Teeny Shark, though, are the ones that are currently blocking them off, holding on to the crown, looking to get their back-to-back first place finishes in this Reload Elite Series finals.
This just seems like such a foreign concept right now, but Teeny and Shark, I mean, they're playing exclusively for the dead side rotation at this stage, Takata, because, as you already mentioned, it's just first place that they have on their mind. They've already got their spot locked in for land. They don't have to worry about dishing out anything else other than, you know, eliminations, because it's just, that's going to be the real difference maker for whether or not they're actually able to take over the first place on the leaderboard. But Pixie, Swizzy, not out of it just yet. Chap will fall. Crazy shot there from Pixie. No chance to get away. Flixie is hoping that he can create just a little bit of space here, but Pixie and Swizzy, they know exactly what's at stake for Chap and Flixie. They're looking to shut this one down. They might even be able to secure even more elimination points too, just off the reboots.
Yeah, that was a huge shot that came through. They're only a little under 20 points behind Howley and Lusha, or right outside qualifying range. So they need to get to the end game here and have a decent performance.
Are you looking at what I'm looking at? And Vico's
Yeah, that is.
loadout right now. The lobby is not safe. I will leave it at that, okay? I really want to see what Malabuka and Vico are able to cook up, but that is a crazy exotic to pick up for the 8th and final lobby of the day. All they need to do is make it to the end game now, Takata.
I'm all for it, though. I'd love to see it come through. The Strokey Bevies, unfortunately, on the receiving end of a bit of aggression here. They are in 9th place, so all they want is to make it to this end game and have a shot to play it out. For Dodge, getting a bit focused here, hopefully, has a teammate close by.
Pixie Swizzy boxed up temporarily. Chap on the horizon. Everybody kind of just taking their time. These last few moments before we start to dictate some of the outcomes for some of these teams. When your top 10 is as tightly knit, no real huge point disparities, it just becomes so feasible for anyone and everyone to get involved here. And Vico, Mali, high ground.
This is the second time they've done that fist pad for 7th zone right before the one that pulls into the zone. So it's worked out quite well. You always have that risk of getting focused if you get cracked or kind of get the eyes on you. But I mean, it's worked now in these final 2 matches. They've claimed a dominant position. Now we're going to have the opportunity to take those shots on players rotating in zone. So hopefully they can capitalize on it and not only maintain their spot, but go even further up the leaderboard.
Josh and Wavy gonna start making their way forward. All eyes on Pablo Chino for right now, though. Scoping out the rest of the competition, recognizing there's some teams in the low ground trying to pass them by. Teeny, Shark, they'll also begin making their way forward, but Vico and Malabuka, they seem very confident and just wanting to take this early high ground. They know. Ooh, Deemish so incredibly low there, but Darm gonna be able to play enough of a distraction factor. It might come at such a steep cost here now, though, because Pixie and Swizzy kind of recognize the fact that this is an isolated player and there's nowhere that Darm could possibly escape to. Chap and Flixie on the other end of his walls are going to be the ones to get credit for that elimination. But it's not like Chap and Flixie are all in that better of a position. Even after finding that Elim, they've still got to break through. Yapko, great scenes here. Not so much for Gonzo, though. Getting eliminated and knowing that it's just going to be for Daj having to clutch up for this final lobby.
Lusha Howley, a lot of weight on their shoulders here. Now, 10th place being eliminated, 8th place being eliminated. Them being 1 placement off the cutoff to qualify to the $2.5 million land. They need to have a big match here as Vico takes out Cringe, continuing to maintain that height from the start of this zone without a single team contesting them so far. But be careful, Teeny Shark, they might have their eyes on it.
Malabuka just making sure to stay 1 step ahead, though. Good connections. Now it's Shark underneath, secondary height. He wants to start cranking upwards. He's gonna wait for Teeny. And they're sizing up Vico and Malabuka on the high ground right now. They might not be the only ones either. Glove Sheet Frags. Problems in the backside of zone, though. That's going to be Swizzy and Pixie meeting their maker, Vico Malabuka. We don't have time to think about it because it's all about the high ground control.
Devastating finish, but for Vico Malabuka, it could be bright as they continue to get on ahead. They have more than enough mats, more than enough loot, but the placement points have just started kicking in. They still have a long ways to go.
Shark, Teeny, another solo just lies ahead of them. Kashi is hoping that he can just stay alive 1 moment longer. Did seem like potentially maybe Firen's with him. No, Firen is still with him, so at least they can work together. But Yapko and Panzer, all they want is a lead, but they're not going to be able to escape here. Yapko is going to now have to wait and pray that Panzer is going to be able to just play his own life. Still, out of this duo so far here today, Panzer has come up big time in multiple solo play scenarios. Can he do it yet again? Yeah, he has a decent material count. He's got 2 shield potions to work with. And that mythic revolver, but at the same time, it's just not going to be an easy feat by any means. Flixie Chap overhead. They want height. Vico Malabuka forced to commit to the backside of zone now, taking up a little bit of storm even. That Memphis grenade gonna save them, but Chap and Flixie, they are going all out warfare with this lobby.
They get shot down though. Vico picks up 1, he picks up 2. This could be it. The Siphon now has put him back to 100 HP. A bit of time to pop those shields, but Zynox is going to be the one that's claimed high. Issue is, Chap is not gonna let it last long. 6 elims on Flixie, 2 on Chap. They've now overthrown.
That looked like it was going to be the end there for Chap. I'm not even kidding in the slightest, but now he might meet his demise. Vico Malabuka with a vengeance, resurging back towards the high ground. The grapplers gonna help them control the overhead. Lusha still just barely managed to juke his way through, tarping, but he's out of materials. He's gonna be forced to drop, and it's Chap from overhead. Never saw it coming, but Lusha pays the price of his life. Now Panzer, deep backside of zone, still trying to make it happen. He knows what's on the line. It's a first place position on the leaderboard. He needs a Siphon though. He needs a refresh. Anything and everything at this stage could make the difference here, but Vico and Malabuka are relentless. They are not letting up.
A $10,000 shot for Panzer if he's able to connect it onto Sharkantini. They're on the other side of the door. He hits the first one, unable to get the knock though, as he's forced to play aggressive without any mats. Shark now doing what he can to stay up, but Chino gets knocked down. Panzer continuing to grapple. He goes down. Malabuka now still up height.
But look at the way that Malabuka is played, but Shark, huge connection shot there, elimination onto Faded. Also gonna make sure that he gets to utilize some of this slurp too, but Shark, Teeny, shockwaves overhead, Vico in their sights. Vico's not in their clutches just yet. He still has Malabuka with him, and Shark is gonna be on the receiving end here. Vico coming out on top. Can Teeny get it done? No, he cannot. Vico delivering yet another all-star performance here. Vico, Malabuka, these guys, why are they only allowed to win when it's the last two lobbies, Takada? I just cannot figure it out, but Vico and Malabuka, they definitely secured their spot for the LAN quals here, Takada. Impressive scenes. Analysts, let me hear it.
I mean, Vico and Malabuka, they know how to give everyone in the lobby a heart attack and everyone on the broadcast desk too. Finally, we're seeing this duo that had not the best start to the year prove themselves. They belong on LAN, and finally, we know we're going to see 11.
When the lights were brightest, they showed up, and that's what matters. They've been doing it so consistently late. Taco's right. I don't know what it is about these guys where it's just, yeah, we'll just rock up when it's the last game and show what we can do. But it must be enough now for them to be in LAN contention. I mean, look, we said we were going to watch them today. We said there was pressure on them, Harry, and they stepped up when it mattered.
Of course. I mean, when you do have a spot like Slurpee on Con, there are high expectations, not only just because of that and the caliber of players they are as well, right? And look, they can have all the pressure they want on them. It doesn't matter. It doesn't seem to faze them, to be honest. And yeah, I don't know what it is about them. I don't know how they keep on doing it. I want to see if they're able to do this similar type of clutching on LAN, and hopefully, or luckily, we are going to be seeing that.
And the big thing now, right, we've obviously been tracking this story of Vico and Malabuka in EU contesting versus not contesting at Slurpee. We already know one team who's qualified from Slurpee going to that LAN is Pete and Poyo, so I'm going to be waiting to see whether these guys really can step up to the plate and say, we want to contest those guys, or will they look for somewhere else now that they still have a bit of time to figure it out? Regardless of what it is, there is one thing for sure, Vico and Malabuka are them guys.
Let's see the leaderboard and find out who will be joining our already qualified duos at the LAN finals. Congratulations, first of all, to Sharkantini for doing the back-to-back and winning again. Another $30,000 going their way. But Yapko and Panzer, what a performance. Vico and Malabuka, and finally, Khan and Faded. No one had them on their bingo card going into this one, but what a performance by these two, Coach Harry.
Yeah, this is the beauty of EU, right? You know, it's not like other regions where the teams at the top are always going to stay the same. There's always an underrated talent or a team that no one talks about who gets close, or in this case, qualifies to the LAN. Last time it was Twek and Maida, and this time it was Faded and Khan. And to be honest, they showed it today how capable they are in these lobbies. They didn't feel like they were out of place at all. And for someone like Faded, who, to be honest, for a lot of his career was seen as like just a streamer, just someone who, you know, he talks about he got a clip on Mongrel, and that's basically all he got his fame from. But now he ends up in this situation here where now he's going to the LAN as one of the best teams on Europe, and it's exciting to see what they can show.
Yeah, very happy for those guys. I think when you look at the way they played, they made waves. It's not like they've just snuck in, right? In many of these games, they were one of the biggest threats for teams trying to play mid and low ground. So it's good to see them. Hopefully they can bring that energy to LAN, right? I want to see them rise to the occasion there.
Well, let's see the 6 duos who have qualified already to LAN for the Reload Elite Series. It's really exciting to see some big names up there. You've already mentioned Peter Bottom. Poya will be going toe-to-toe with our European heroes, and of course, Cold and Rapid. But oh my goodness, this is looking like such an exciting event already, Harry, and we still have 2 more qualifiers to go in Europe.
That's the beauty of the Reload. Only the best of the best are going to qualify, right? And it's going to be such a stacked lobby. And I'm just excited to see what off-spawn situations we had. You touched on it there, Levin, about Slurpee, but there's so many other spots that teams might look to go. And, you know, when you get to the global stage, you get to see fights that you never see before, and that's always so exciting.
Yeah, so much talent on that board. Look, I'm not trying to flame some of our Fortnite creators, but last year when we had the Pro-Am, there were a couple teams in there that were nuts. You know, we had some great pros, and, you know, some of the creators, you knew the level's not quite there. When you look at the lobby list already shaping up for the LAN, so much talent. We ain't got duds. We've just got talent, and that's what I want to see. Looking forward to seeing who steps up.
So we've got a few more spots going Europe's way, I should say. In fact, we've got 6 more spots.